In the quiet town of Ashwood, Oregon, nestled among rolling hills and evergreen forests, July 4th, 2024 was meant to be a day of celebration. The annual Independence Day festival was in full swing, with families gathered at the town square, children waving sparklers, and the scent of grilled hot dogs mingling with the crisp summer air. The sun hung low, casting a golden glow over the community, unaware that the night would unravel into a tragedy that would haunt Ashwood for decades. At the heart of the festival was the Harper family, a pillar of the town. Daniel Harper, 52, was a respected high school principal, known for his warm smile and tireless dedication to his students. His wife, Margaret, 50, ran a local bakery, her blueberry pies a staple at every town event. Their two children, Emily, 22, a recent college graduate, and Jacob, 16, a shy but talented musician, were the pride of their parents. The Harpers' sprawling Victorian home on Maple Street was a hub of activity, often hosting neighbors for barbecues or book club meetings. To outsiders, they were the epitome of small-town perfection. But beneath the surface, secrets simmered. Daniel had been grappling with a scandal at Ashwood High. Rumors swirled that he'd been involved in a cover-up, protecting a star athlete accused of assaulting a classmate. The accusations had fractured his reputation, and anonymous letters began arriving at the Harper home, threatening to expose him. Margaret, meanwhile, was hiding her own pain. Her bakery was drowning in debt, and she'd borrowed money from a shady lender named Victor Crane, a man with a reputation for ruthless debt collection. Emily, too, carried a burden. She'd recently ended a volatile relationship with a drifter named Caleb Reed, who'd been spotted lurking around town, his eyes burning with resentment. As the festival reached its peak, the Harpers hosted a private after-party at their home. Close friends, neighbors, and a few local dignitaries filled the backyard, where fairy lights twinkled and a bonfire roared. Jacob strummed his guitar, his soft melodies floating over the chatter. Emily, radiant in a red sundress, laughed with her childhood friend Sarah while Daniel and Margaret mingled, their smiles masking their private turmoil. No one noticed the figure watching from the shadows beyond the fence. At 9:47 p.m., the first scream pierced the night. It came from the kitchen, where Margaret had gone to fetch more ice. Guests froze, their laughter dying as Daniel rushed inside. He found his wife sprawled on the linoleum, a knife plunged into her chest. Blood pooled beneath her, stark against the white floor. Before anyone could react, a second scream rang out, this time from the backyard. Emily, clutching her side, stumbled toward the bonfire, a crimson stain spreading across her dress. Chaos erupted. Guests scattered, some diving for cover, others fumbling for their phones to call 911. Jacob, who'd been playing near the patio, dropped his guitar and ran toward his sister. But as he reached her, a figure emerged from the darkness, a man in a black hoodie, his face obscured by a baseball cap. He raised a handgun and fired twice. Jacob crumpled, his body collapsing beside Emily's. The gunman didn't stop. He moved methodically through the backyard, targeting specific guests. By the time the first police sirens wailed in the distance, 6 people were dead, including Daniel, who'd been shot while trying to shield a neighbor. The Ashwood Police Department, unaccustomed to such violence, scrambled to secure the scene. The Harper home, once a symbol of warmth, was now a slaughterhouse. Blood stained the grass, and the bonfire's embers cast an eerie glow over the bodies. The gunman had vanished, leaving behind a trail of shell casings and unanswered questions. As officers cordoned off the property, a chilling detail emerged. The killer had spared certain guests, seemingly at random. Sarah, Emily's friend, was unharmed, though she was found trembling in the garden shed, unable to speak. Another survivor, Tom Wheeler, a local mechanic, claimed he'd seen the gunman pause, as if recognizing him, before moving on. Detective Laura Bennett, a seasoned investigator who transferred to Ashwood from Portland, took charge of the case. At 38, she was known for her sharp instincts and relentless pursuit of truth. The massacre was unlike anything she'd seen. A targeted, calculated attack in a town where the worst crimes were petty thefts. Laura's first task was to identify the victims. Alongside Margaret, Daniel, Emily, and Jacob, the dead included Linda Carter, a school counselor, and Roger Klein, a town councilman. The randomness of the victims baffled her. What connected them? What? As the investigation unfolded, Laura uncovered a web of deceit that stretched far beyond the Harper family. Autopsies revealed that Margaret had been stabbed before the shooting began, suggesting the knife attack was personal, perhaps a precursor to the gunman's rampage. Ballistics confirmed the bullets came from a 9mm Glock, a common weapon, but the precision of the shots suggested military or law enforcement training. Laura's team canvassed the neighborhood, collecting witness statements. A teenager claimed to have seen a blue pickup truck speeding away from Maple Street moments after the shooting, its license plate obscured by mud. The town was paralyzed with fear. Rumors spread like wildfire. Was the killer a disgruntled former student? A hitman sent by Victor Crane? Or perhaps Caleb Reed seeking revenge on Emily? Laura's instincts told her the answer lay closer to home. She began digging into the Harpers' lives, uncovering fractures in their perfect facade. Daniel's scandal at the high school had alienated him from colleagues, particularly Linda Carter, who'd threatened to go public with evidence of his misconduct. Margaret's debt to Victor Crane had spiraled, and phone records showed she'd been in contact with him hours before the party. Emily's ex, Caleb, had a criminal record, petty theft and assault, but no history of gun violence. A breakthrough came on July 6th when Laura's team discovered a hidden safe in the Harper basement. Inside were documents detailing Daniel's involvement in a bribery scheme. He'd accepted payments from wealthy parents to secure their children's spots on the school's honor roll, a betrayal that could have ruined him. Among the papers was a handwritten note. "They know. It ends tonight." The handwriting didn't match Daniel's or Margaret's, raising the possibility of a third party. Laura also found a burner phone with a single contact labeled VC, Victor Crane. Tracking down Crane proved difficult. The lender operated out of a seedy bar on the outskirts of town, surrounded by enforcers who stonewalled Laura's questions. But a tip from an anonymous caller led her to a warehouse where Crane stored his collections. There she found evidence of his dealings with Margaret, including a ledger showing she owed $50,000. More disturbingly, the warehouse contained a cache of weapons, including a 9mm Glock, matching the murder weapons profile. Crane, however, had an alibi. He'd been at a casino in Eugene during the massacre, backed by security footage. Laura shifted her focus to Caleb Reed. The drifter had been spotted in Ashwood days before the shooting, staying at a run-down motel. When police raided his room, they found a map of the Harper property with the backyard circled in red. Caleb was arrested, but he denied involvement, claiming he'd only wanted to confront Emily about their breakup. His hands tested negative for gunshot residue, and his truck didn't match the witness's description. Laura released him, convinced he was a dead end. As the investigation stalled, the survivors began to speak. Sarah, Emily's friend, finally opened up, her voice trembling as she recounted the night. She'd seen the gunman hesitate when he spotted her, his eyes locking onto hers for a split second before he turned away. "It was like he knew me," she whispered. Sarah also revealed a secret. Emily had confided in her about a mysterious man who'd been following her, someone she described as dangerous but familiar. Laura pressed for details, but Sarah's trauma clouded her memory. On July 10th, a new lead emerged. A forensic team analyzing the crime scene found a partial fingerprint on a shell casing. It didn't match any known suspects, but pointed to someone with access to the Harper home. Laura revisited the guest list, zeroing in on Tom Wheeler, the mechanic who'd survived unscathed. Tom was a quiet man, a regular at the Harpers' gatherings, but little was known about his past. A background check revealed a bombshell. Tom had served in the Marines with training in marksmanship and had been dishonorably discharged for undisclosed reasons. Laura brought Tom in for questioning. At first, he was cooperative, describing the chaos of the night with vivid detail, but when pressed about his military history, he grew evasive. Laura noticed a scar on his hand, matching a description from a witness who'd seen the gunman's glove slip during the shooting. Confronted with the fingerprint evidence, Tom's composure cracked. "You don't understand," he muttered. "They deserved it." Under intense interrogation, Tom confessed. He wasn't just a mechanic. He was Daniel Harper's half-brother, a secret kept from the town. Born to Daniel's father from an affair, Tom had grown up in poverty, resentful of the Harpers' privileged life. Daniel had known about Tom but kept him at arm's length, offering occasional financial help but never acknowledging him as family. When Tom learned of Daniel's bribery scheme, his bitterness boiled over. He saw the scandal as a chance to destroy the Harpers' legacy, but his rage extended beyond Daniel. Margaret's warmth had once drawn him in, but her rejection when he asked for a loan to save his failing business felt like a betrayal. Emily, too, had dismissed him, unaware of their connection when he tried to confide in her. Tom's plan was meticulous. He'd spent months acquiring weapons, using his military contacts to bypass background checks. The July 4th party was the perfect opportunity. Everyone would be distracted, and the chaos of the festival would cover his escape. He'd stabbed Margaret first, a personal act of vengeance, before donning the hoodie and unleashing his rampage. The note in the safe was his, a taunt meant to torment Daniel in his final moments. Tom had spared Sarah because she'd once shown him kindness, a fleeting moment that stayed his hand. But Tom's confession didn't explain everything. The blue pickup truck remained a mystery, and Laura suspected he hadn't acted alone. Digging deeper, she uncovered a connection between Tom and Victor Crane. The ledger in Crane's warehouse listed payments to an alias Tom had used in the Marines. Laura theorized that Crane had supplied the weapons, possibly in exchange for Tom eliminating Margaret, whose debt had become a liability. When confronted, Crane lawyered up, leaving Laura with circumstantial evidence but no concrete proof. Tom was charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder and faced a death penalty trial. His confession spared Ashwood a prolonged courtroom spectacle, but the town was forever changed. The Harper home was demolished, its lot left empty as a grim reminder. Sarah moved away, unable to escape the memories. Letitia, a distant cousin of the Harpers, emerged as a voice of healing, organizing vigils to honor the victims. She echoed a sentiment that resonated with survivors. Hate can destroy, but love rebuilds. Laura, haunted by the case, retired from the force a year later. She'd solved the massacre but couldn't shake the feeling that Crane had slipped through her fingers. On quiet nights, she'd drive past the empty lot on Maple Street, wondering if justice had truly been served. Ashwood's July 4th festival was never the same. The town square, once alive with laughter, now carried a somber weight. Families still gathered, but the sparklers seemed dimmer, the music softer. The Ashwood betrayal, as it came to be known, was a wound that time could only scar, never fully heal.